We continue to examine the greatest story ever told, a story that is so deep that as we unpack it, we continue seeing the nature of human beings, but also we see the Father's heart. We see God's own nature. This is CITAM Church Online. My name is George Murichu. I serve as a pastor with Christ is the Answer Ministries in Woodley. And thank you for watching today's video. If this platform has been a blessing to you, it would be great for you to connect with us by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Last video we considered we started off looking at this story, the parable of the prodigal son, and we realized that it's actually the parable of the prodigal sons, that there were two sons, both of them lost, both of them in need of God's salvation, God's redemption, both of them in need of the grace of God. And so today we continue and want to look still through the lenses of the younger son, and I'm reading from Luke chapter 15, verse 13. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country, and there he squandered his property in reckless living. We see the younger son having got his share of property, his inheritance that was meant to come to him upon the father's death. He takes all that property, and after a short while, the Bible tells us, he goes to a distant country. He goes to a far country. And this builds on what we touched on in our first video, that the younger son communicates to us times in our lives, seasons in our lives, where we're more interested in the blessings of God than in God himself. We're more interested in the things that God gives than we are in God himself. And there's a good example of this in the Old Testament, where Moses is interceding for the nation of Israel. They have sinned against God. They have caused his wrath. They have kindled his wrath. And God, because his heart broken, you sense, you can hear his anger, his disappointment. God says, I will not go with you. Rather, I will send an angel. And Moses pleads and pleads with God and says, God, if you won't go with us, strike off my name from that book. Strike off my name from your book. Blot out my name. And Moses is showing us that what counts the most is the presence of God. Maybe it's possible that there are some people who would have jumped up at that offer and said, okay, God, since you won't come, let an angel go with us. But Moses says, no, I need the presence of God. We need the presence of God as a nation. So this is the son, the younger son. He gets his share of property and he goes to a distant country. And it's even indicated for us, it was not many days later, which is a clear picture that this younger son cared more for the material things, the material benefits, than he cared about a connection, an intimate relationship with his father. Could it be that as you're watching this, you're more concerned about the stuff that God will give you than you are about the thing that counts the most, which is that intimate relationship with God? The Bible goes on to say, Jesus, narrating this story, tells us that he went off to a distant country, a far off land. And then the story goes downhill from there. We see the younger son squandering his property in reckless living. We can only picture how that looks like in the contemporary setting. There he was clubbing. There he was wasting his property. Maybe he was gambling. Maybe he was betting. Maybe he was living a promiscuous life. Maybe he was living a life that is very much close to the boundaries. You know, he's at the edge of it. And here he is. The word squandered tells us that it was wasted. It's like he milked every single aspect of it. And as you're watching this, could it be that you have wasted your years, you have wasted your time, you have wasted your life, you have wasted resources, and you've wasted those resources on wild living? Addictions have a way of squandering the lives of people. Addictions to drugs, basically physiological addictions. But now psychologists have differentiated between physiological and psychological. So there could be some addictions that are not tangible, or rather physical substances, but you're dependent on something and you're wasting your life away. It could be addictions to things that are harmful to your soul. It could be something that is wrecking your life, like that younger son. You have strayed away from God. You've drifted away from God. This story was told for God to draw two lost sons, one of them being people who have wasted their lives in reckless living. And maybe that's you, and you're at your wit's end. You've tried everything. As we look ahead, we'll see that his story even goes lower than that. He wastes his life. And this serves as a warning that when we're disconnected from God, when we're not in that intimate space of a relationship with him, when we, like a branch that is cut off from the vine, we cannot bear fruit. So you can't do it without God. This is an invitation to plug back, to get back into relationship. Maybe you've drifted far off. It'll take one step for you to turn back, and that's a step of repentance. Maybe you have drifted far off in drug abuse, in alcohol, in gambling, and you've squandered your finances to a point of you're so indebted you don't even know how to face the future. Maybe you've wasted your life in illicit relationships, and you find yourself laden with regret. You've gone off to a far country, but we'll see in a few verses down this story that the Father has his arms wide open, ready to receive even the lost son who has squandered his life in reckless living. And I wonder, could it be that the point at which you're at right now, squandering, you're looking for that happiness, you're living your life in pursuit of happiness? I want to let you know that true joy, lasting joy, is found in an intimate relationship with God, where he adopts you as his son when you place your faith in Jesus Christ. So we continue tracking along this story, but if you would love for us to pray with you, if you would want a counselor to connect with you around some matter, some sensitive matter, our helpline is right at the bottom of the screen. And of course, we're available on all the social media platforms that are displayed there. We would love to pray with you that the God who restores will restore you and will save you so that you do not waste your life. Thank you so much for watching CITAM Church Online. May God bless you.